Well, right now, questions about security protocols at the hotel hosting the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The suspect bolted past security and fired gunshots.
The White House Chief of Staff expected to review protocol for major events with Secret Service and Homeland Security. The suspect fired at officers before being tackled, men detained. Those shots, though, heard in the room where the dinner was held, which was packed with journalists and officials. Yeah, you can see the moments of chaos there as people start to duck under their tables. They're getting the vice president and the president out of the room. Secret Service, again, agents, they quickly acted, getting the president and vice president there to safety.
Well, Saturday's dinner was the president's first time attending the event while in office. He spoke with CBS 60 Minutes hours later, recounting the moments he heard the shots.
I started walking with him. I started walking. And they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down, and First Lady went down also.
Well, the suspect is expected to be arraigned in federal court today in Washington, D.C.
And this morning we've learned the New London Police Department actually played a key role in the early hours of this investigation.
The brother of the suspect could live there, and officials say he called police after the shooting. Your reporter Anna Stansfield live outside the police department explaining what we know about that connection. Good morning.
Well, good morning. The investigation here in New London is now over, but police here are the ones that answered that phone call, again, from someone claiming to be the suspect's brother the night of the shooting. And he brought forward some pretty key evidence moving forward for this case. After that phone call, the Associated Press reports the brother was interviewed by police here in New London and by federal investigators. They found out the suspect, Cole Allen, wrote to his family members just minutes before the attack at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. In those writings, Allen referred to himself as a friendly federal assassin and made references to President Donald Trump, along with complaints about the administration's actions, including U.S. strikes on boats accused of smuggling drugs in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Now, investigators are using these writings as evidence into the suspect's mindset and possible motives. And again, the investigation here in New London is over, but we know that they are ready and willing to help out federal authorities as their investigation continues if needed. I'm your reporter live in New London, Anna Stansfield, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.